Hey, what is going on, guys? This is SMEV Reviews, and today we are taking a look at the third studio album from Kodaline titled Politics of Living. Let's get to it. I'm fairly new to Kodaline. I actually just got into them like a week before this album came out due to a friend's recommendation, and I really did enjoy it. I was really actually excited for this album, and I liked the singles alright. There were some weaker moments, which I'll get to later, but I did like the singles, and I really do like this band. So, I'm coming into this with fairly fresh eyes into this band. I have listened to the majority of their work, but I am still new and coming into this band with this album, really. So, when listening to this album, it is a lot more inorganic and a lot more pop-oriented than their past albums, I'd say. And that's not a bad thing, it's just I could see a lot of longtime fans having problems with this album. I really like it as, again, this is what I was introduced to with them. I wasn't introduced to them during their first album when they were a little more folk-oriented. This was my first introduction to them, so I heard all of it, and I like all of it. I think all of it sounds good, even though this is a little more pop-oriented. But I could see longtime fans having a real problem with the fact that they're going with a more pop-leaning sound rather than they're sticking a little more towards their roots. And it's not that they haven't moved away from it. Their second album definitely did still move away from the folkier sounding roots, but it's honestly still good. This album is still good. I am simply acknowledging that longtime fans may be a little less warm towards this album. We get a real good mix of sounds here. Sounds that kind of sound reminiscent of the Lumineers with them, like, it's because there is still a little folk influence here, just not as pronounced as on their first album. It is still there, and it does reminisce a lot with the Lumineers. I could really fit a lot of these into their discography, and it would make sense. As well as bands like U2, or even Andrew McMahon with just his complete, utter sense of happiness and really good hook songwriting. I could really draw a really close comparison with all of those artists. And I really do like all those artists. They're three of my favorite artists, and so I really do like Kodaline, and I really do like this album. Now, I did mention a weakness, and I have to say, while this is really good, there are some cheesy songs, and it's hard to avoid when you're talking about a band that tries to go for a little pop-leaning sounds. Often you can dip into cheesy because you're trying to give something so easy to identify and recognize and sing along to. That being said, I don't really necessarily always find it a problem. Let's take Held High. It was one of the singles released for this album, and it's a fine song musically. It's a little chipper, and it's very optimistic. It's one of those, like, keep your head held high despite all the hardships you're going through, and it's something we're very used to. Honestly, kind of reminds me of like a One Republic song, but it's a fine song. I don't really dislike it. It just does get a little cheesy. Now, the reason that this can be redeemed is because they sell it with such genuine happiness. The sentiments that are being expressed in this album, and that song specifically, are sold so genuinely. It's not like they're just singing something to make a pop hit. It really does feel like they genuinely are trying to sell this emotion, and how serious and real that they are about the emotion, despite it still being a little cheesy, can be very redeeming, and it really does redeem that song, even if just a little bit. It is probably still one of the weaker moments, but it can redeem itself because of that. And I really do appreciate Steve Garrington as a vocalist. He really does have an incredible voice that can deliver lots of different sounds. He can do a really good soaring sound, like in Brother, where his voice just takes off and really can do incredible things, as well as the more indie alternative style vocals on songs like Follow Your Fire, and it's really good. He really is an incredible vocalist. Talking about Follow Your Fire is one of my favorite songs on this album specifically because of his voice. It's so good, it's so well produced, and his voice just gives so much energy behind the song, and it's just about following your passion, someone they used to know, following their passion, and he just hopes the best for them, and it's just reminiscing on good times, and it's a really touching, sentimental song that works excellently, and there's so much energy in it that it works well as a song that is just to dance to, or a song that can kind of pull at your heartstrings despite it being very upbeat. One of those songs that really works well, and a dynamic that I really appreciate in music, where they can take a song that sounds happy and still make it slightly sentimental. And while this song is not sad, it still delivers an emotional punch, a song I really do love on this album. I Wouldn't Be and Brother really kind of dip into a gospel sound and really layer vocals that gives it a very gospel-esque sound, despite them not really talking about God in any form. It really is excellent, and just again shows Stevie Arrington's ability to be a vocalist. It really does work. Now, I did mention that some songs are a little cheesy, as I said, but honestly, none of them really fall prey because everything is sold so well, as I mentioned. And I don't just mean in the vocals either. The production through this album is truly incredible and really gives a diverse amount of sound. We get a lot of different sound. Hell Froze Over gives us a pretty good rock track that is a little different from the rest of the album, but really still fits well together and really is cohesive through the whole album. Despite it being slightly different than the rest, it really is good, and I don't have anything negative to say about this album. They all really work, even though songs like Temple Bar or Head Held High do kind of get a little cheesy at times. Most of them don't really fall prey because the production, instrumentation, and vocals are so good that it doesn't really matter. Again, Head Held High is the only one that kind of falls prey to it. Temple Bar is a little mediocre, but it's still a really good album. I absolutely love this, and I'm absolutely loving every sound that they produce here because they do such an incredible job at working so many different sound styles and techniques. It really is a great album, and again, I could see a lot of longtime fans kind of having a problem with this, but for me, someone who entered during this phase, I absolutely love it. It's an incredible album. I really do appreciate it, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. What did you guys think of this album? Please let me know down below. Also, is there any upcoming albums that you'd like me to check out, or anything I can do to improve the quality of my videos? Besides that, I'd like to thank you guys for watching this. Check out my Twitter. I randomly post stuff, so check it out. It's in the description. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot, and I'll see you guys later.